pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, any changes to the minutes from the May 21st meeting?
Make a motion, we forego the reading of the minutes and approve them as presented.
Motion by Pillar,
Second.
second by Wolf. Discussion. All in favor of the approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Approve the agenda. Anything different, Monty, on here?
We've been moving things around a little
Yep.
bit.
We got Mr. Birch is up here, so other than that, anything else? Okay.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, motion by Wolf to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second by Stern. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank you. 5A, Secaucus Medical Center update. You're up. Good timing. Come on up.
I'd rather be lucky than good anyway.
Me too.
So I'm just here, it's been a while. It's been a long while since I've been here, but you probably noticed some of our grass is growing and our plants are filling in, and those that haven't been growing are getting replaced. And that's all going well. We've settled into our new place. Can you believe this? It's been over a year that we've been in our new hospital already. It seems like just yesterday we were tearing down the old one. Jerry was trying to figure out how to get that canopy over
Yeah.
to the floor. But it's all gone well. You know, from the foundation perspective, you remember we raised about $3.1 million for the capital campaign, and we appreciate the support from the city of Hazen as well. I'm pleased to report that through this capital campaign, we haven't had any pledges that haven't been fulfilled. You know, sometimes circumstances change for people, but we've been very blessed that has not been the case with us, that it's gone well. We have a couple of open items yet that we're working on. We've got some piping in a boiler motor that we needed to wait until the weather warmed up. Well, that happened in a hurry once the snow melted. So we can get some of that fixed, done. And there's just some small open loose items, but for all intents and purposes, we've got everything taken care of and the facility is functioning well. We've had a lot of people come take tours of our facility, and it's fun to show it off. It's a lot of fun. So that's a SMC perspective. I just also want to provide an update on what's happening at Beulah with the Coal Country Clinic there. I don't know if you've driven by there lately, but we're doubling the size of the clinic in Beulah. We're doing a $7.5 million construction project there as well. Today, the steel is being delivered and is starting to be put up, and this project is anticipated to be completed around Thanksgiving. So
What are you adding, Daryl? What's
we're going to be doubling the size of the clinic, both top floor and the
Sure.
bottom floor. So we'll be expanding the number of exam rooms that we have, the number of exam rooms we have available for visiting specialists, and then we're going to move behavioral health services back into that facility as well.
Is that downtown?
It's currently at the old Beulah Clinic that SMC owned and operated 2 blocks south. That's where Missy and her team is at right now. But we're going to have that be down in the basement of the new facility. Then we're making a larger rehab area as well. As you may know, Eric Clenbrook provides physical therapy services there, and then the hospital provides physical therapy services in downstairs of the nursing home. But we're going to be moving those services all together into that new, newly constructed area at Coal Country. So we'll have bigger rehab, more exam rooms, and a better workflow throughout that as well. It's an aggressive timeline to be thinking that we'll be thankful at Thanksgiving, but I hope that some Thanksgiving will be thankful. Maybe not in 2018.
Are any of the hospital assets having to be pledged as security for the improvements there?
Okay. No, it's a separate organization.
Totally separate. So
So we're looking for, well, we're going through a construction project, so we look forward to that always, don't we? The other thing I just wanted to talk about, and I'm not a spokesman for the Energy Capital Child Care Cooperative, but as you may know, there's our daycare here in Hazen has been very successful. SMC and Coal Country, along with a lot of other partners, are partners in that Energy Capital Child Care Cooperative. And I don't know if Aaron has been here lately, but part of the thing that we've heard is that there are still need for daycare slots in Beulah. And so we did a survey, we being the Daycare Cooperative Board, did a survey of the Beulah employers, of the major employers, and there is still need. So we'll be looking for additional places where there might be space for a daycare in Beulah. Because I think the last count that I heard of, we had 67 or 69 kids enrolled here in Hazen, which is wonderful. But there are also some folks that are driving from Beulah and Zap over here, and there's maybe some folks that will need to get in here or in the place in Beulah if we're able to find a space and if we're able to get it staffed and do all that stuff. But it's great that we had this cooperative venture that was initiated by Basin for us to have all these daycare slots available. Anyway, those are the few things that I was going to report on, but again, I'd be happy to answer any questions that we may have.
Anybody?
Could I ask
Thank
maybe
you.
one more?
Absolutely.
Sometime today, this year you'll be doing streets, right? And will you be doing the streets that go by the hospital
Yes.
as well?
Actually, you know, on Thursday, every Thursday, we're at 1 o'clock, we have a construction update meeting. And you're more than welcome to come to that. And they kind of lay out the upcoming week or two, see what the schedule looks like, and, you know, which changes depending on what we're doing. And you know, whatever surprises happen during the process.
Okay.
But yes, that street between you guys, the hospital and the old clinic will be redone. Brent Cannell has been coming to our meetings, so the last two. So he's got a pretty good grasp and a timeline of what's happening, but yeah.
So if he continues to come, we'll kind of be able to have a feel for when that's
Absolutely.
happening so that we can let our patients know.
In addition to that, the chamber has been posting out on Facebook on their site, kind of the look ahead schedule as well.
Chamber and the city Facebook.
City also. Okay.
For those that are smart enough to navigate. Present company excluded.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. 5B, Heritage Park update. Lauren, come on up.
Thank you.
Yeah, and committee if you want to.
Well, I'll just
Okay.
go through
Go
that.
back there.
Moral support. What I wanted to do, Monty, do you have that spreadsheet
This
for
one?
everyone? And
Yeah,
do
we
you
all
have
have.
an extra one for me?
Here you go.
I just wanted to see what you were looking at. So, I think it was about a year ago that you folks were kind enough to kind of get this whole thing started with the $5,000 gift to the park. And since then, we have gone on to talk to a myriad of donors, and we now have $52,500 pledged and monthly paid in. And we still have a couple of grant applications out there. Another one with Rough Rider Electric and West River Telephone. I think we'll go in and ask them for another $500. And so the financial part has been very successful. You see it well enough so you're aware of what's been done over there. And so we now have the electric underground. We have the electric added throughout the park. We have post electric so we can bring in vendors and we can plug in Alice Cooper, I think.
That's pretty good.
Really a lot of electric over there. And so the electric is great. The move with the old shelter over to Ann Chase went well, and we did a little painting and trimming on that building, so it looks real nice over there. And of course, the new shelter is here. We got the sidewalk poured 2 weeks ago, and today the electrician, Mark Olson, was back over, and he set up 4 of the 7 lights that we got from the hospital. They donated their parking lot lights. So tomorrow then we go ahead and we have all the plants, landscaping plants will be coming over tonight, and tomorrow our work crew will get started, and we'll have fabric down, we'll put the plants in, and we'll do the rock, cover and mulch on the plants, and then we'll be able to turn on the sprinkler system, which we had installed last year. And then I think it would just be kind of ready to go. And so we do have an event. So anyway, we'll end up with a little extra money, I think, and we're hoping maybe to buy some nice benches because we won't have anything left over. But we'll hopefully be able to buy a few benches and maybe a few things yet to make the park more useful and beautiful for the public. So, do you have any questions? I hope you're happy with what you see in that park, and we've sure been getting a lot of good feedback.
I didn't notice tonight when I come in, but on the east side,
Yeah.
where the sidewalk ends, is that where the sidewalk's gonna end?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of thinking we might like to put a little come back and do a little sort of a little rounded out edge there that looks a little more like
And maybe a ramp off to
Yeah,
into the grass, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know what the plan was, but
it feels a little abrupt. It
Yeah.
kind of ran out of donated concrete about right there, and then we also, we were concerned that maybe someday we might like to put in more playground equipment. So
Right.
just didn't quite know what to do there. I would like to say this, I guess, while we're talking about it. We would, and we do plan to move, not demolish, but move the Boy Scout sign to the end of the park, so that when you come down from Cenex, you see that sign instead of going around the curve and then maybe seeing the sign. So we think it would be more useful at the corner. And so, if you hear anything about that, we're not taking the Boy Scout sign away, we're just gonna move it down 100 yards.
there was a sidewalk, and my wife asked her, they have to take that sidewalk all the way down, I'm like,
And the other reason why we're not, Jason, we just want more grass area for kids to
Right.
play, and not
Yeah.
one less area for them to crack right open.
Do you have feelings about it? Would you, if we could maybe continue it,
I don't know, I think it would be, I don't think that was my feeling, more grass space,
yeah,
but kind of not make it look so deadheaded there.
so abrupt? I
Yeah.
think we need to make it look a little more
Yeah.
like.
Well, and I figured
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Kind of like these new ADA spots,
Yeah.
Mhm.
recesses down and
Yeah,
And kids are, I don't know if they're gonna ride their bikes on that sidewalk, but they probably will, or skateboard or whatever, then they're not
Yeah.
just falling off the edge of the earth.
And you may notice that parts of the sidewalk are higher than others, because it's just not level. The
Sidewalk level, but
the sidewalk's level, but the ground is not.
Yeah. So we're gonna, as part of our landscaping, we'll be bringing dirt up along the sidewalk. So financially, I think the project is done really well, and people have been.
And on that revenue list, Norman didn't mention it, but that we have had quite a bit of in-kind services too. We've had a couple of people helping out. Last week, we had a donation that was unexpected.
Yeah, we got $6,000, is that right, for free concrete from Great River Energy. I
Yeah,
called
just,
Strata Corporation last week and I said, we gotta order some landscaping rock. And the guy said, oh, didn't we just bring that free concrete over this week? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, we'll donate the rock then too. So, just a little help.
John Dawes helped a little bit. I know the city guys were planting the trees last spring. Didn't someone run one of the skid steers? And
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did, they ran the trees.
it's been nice.
It has been great.
And those trees have all survived. So the one is,
One's a little leaning.
Yeah.
Hope that up tomorrow and stake it up, but yeah, so far. So, we're gonna have our first event there on June 22nd. We're gonna have a little outdoor concert there, just the group is called the Radio Stars, and they've been in town before, a couple of guys who do country music and covers. It's just a 7 o'clock kind of to 8:30, 9 o'clock family kind of concert, and whoever is in town. So Bonnie, do you want to come up here and talk about this?
or stay there and talk about
Or
it.
stay there and
It's up
talk
to you.
about it?
As far as,
Well, what we wanted to do, what we wanted to ask you guys, we're gonna serve some burgers, and we were hoping that, can we serve a cold beer over there to people without having to rope them up, or put them in a
page or a rope area or
But the whole idea of this is, well, for one thing, the radio stars they're not charging. They called us and said, we need a place to perform on Friday night, because they're evidently going somewhere else. So we're not paying for them. We thought it's a fun summer kickoff. We're not gonna charge admission, because how do you do that, with a big open park? But we thought it would be fun to have a relaxing evening, and I know that, most people say you don't have to have alcohol served to have a relaxed evening. Our question is if we have it there, can we sell it? We're just asking you. And if we don't have it there and people bring it in,
Yeah,
what's the control? I mean, we just need some guidance.
Well, it's a city park, people can bring beer and sit down there. There's that open container.
Where is that? I mean,
You know, I'm assuming people go to our parks and have a beverage.
yeah.
You just have a can of glass container.
correct.
But-
And we would, abide by.
So how did, when we had the all-school reunion, it was not fenced and gated, it
No,
was
it's not.
open, I think the all-school reunion committee got a special event permit for that night. And that's what it takes.
are you expecting a lot of people, and is it gonna be?
We'll be so happy if 100 people show up. It's really just gonna be,
Pretty small.
You really, do you think people bring in alcohol like that? With
we
their
wouldn't think they would bring it, but
I would think it would, the pocket park, it doesn't generate any alcohol.
Yeah.
During the
This might be a little different on Friday night thing, maybe people would have to deal with it, but we just thought if we could, we wondered if we could sell here.
I mean, we lived in Mandan, we would walk down to that gazebo down by the library. And they would draw sometimes 200, 300, 400, 500 people.
We have
There wasn't one alcohol beverage anytime, and we went there every day.
Well,
I'm not against it.
doesn't the
I
rec
just
shop
wondered-
have to sell? Or can you?
Well,
This would be a little different than the Wednesday pocket thing.
Right.
We don't have to get it through somebody?
Yes.
Permit?
Yeah.
I mean, the liquor,
Special event permit.
and that covers you being able to sell? Okay.
When the Candace was in town, and we did that several times up at Moses Park. It was an event, and we had, I think Hazen, I'm guessing it's been a while, their permit.
Right. That's what I mean.
Event, and-
It would have to go through.
Right, and
Someone.
they sold it, and we just kept it.
we'd have to provide have a security person for that evening if there's alcohol, which is what, I don't know what that costs, $50 or something,
$20 an hour.
or what's an hour, so.
Can they go undercover?
They normally are, they normally are, you barely know they're there.
They have to be there.
Buster?
We're talking running.
Yeah. Buster?
Just a little historical perspective, back in the day when I used to do the chamber steak fry, and we had it over there, we used to always serve, and what we would do is we would get the liquor license through Krause's and serve out of the back of a pickle.
Mhm.
And it was, and at that time, I don't believe, well, I was in charge of it, but I never did hire a police officer or whatever, but
Seems to me it has to do with the entertainment portion.
yeah.
The Century Code that requires security.
Oh, okay, so, yeah. But I do know, one time we had, there was a band that was in Mandan, pretty popular, and we had really a pretty decent turnout there. I think we got probably 125 people for that event. It's a number of years ago now.
So just stop by City Hall and grab a permit.
Okay,
The vendor needs to get the permit.
and you meet
Yeah,
again before.
the vendor needs to get, yeah.
Oh, this is our first step. We're just deciding
What?
what we do. I mean, do we just do this, or do we, take it a step further, just, hoping that people drive by on Obviously, we would advertise and that's kind of thing, but hopefully just get with Robin and want to keep it casual and want to, you know, certainly invite families or anything.
So that's it.
Anybody?
Friday night.
Yep.
22nd.
Friday 22nd.
Any questions for Bonnie or Lauren on the park or the event or?
Just if anybody's not working, would like to help plan.
2 days of fun.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Can't imagine what else you'd want to do.
We'll have some nice cold water. So thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thanks, Bonnie.
Right.
5C, local permit raffle, East Littleton Church. Ladies are raising some money for church repairs.
Make a motion to approve their permit request for the raffle.
Motion by Pillar,
Second.
second by Wolf. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 6A, street project. Phyllis, come on up.
Josh, why don't you go ahead and update on where we're at with construction?
Kemper Construction's finished up all the spot repairs that are on the contract to date. They also finished that mainline sanitary sewer on First Street, yeah, First Street. Today they worked on the storm sewer up by the park, got that pretty well all done. They just have to do the stuff along the north side of 7th to tie it in. Curb and gutter, they were pouring up today up northeast side of town by Elm and Sunrise. I think they should have all that done today. And then they'll be working on kind of on 4th Street, the east side of town there tomorrow, getting that put in. So progressing along. I think they're looking at paving. It sounds like beginning of July. Right after the 4th of July is when they're planning on getting ready to start with the actual asphalt work. So moving along.
When will they start with the underground there by the church?
That, I think they're planning on doing that tomorrow. They have a couple guys that are gonna have to leave there, so they wanna get some of the deeper stuff done before they get onto that shallower stuff. So I think tomorrow they'll do that, so should be able to get that done in 1 day. Pretty short run, so.
Is that something, Jerry, we need to get those stumps out of there? Is that, the stumps gonna be in the way or anything?
Those won't be in the way of this.
Okay,
But Kemper with their track hoe was gonna
dig them out.
pull those out of there. Somebody was gonna,
They mentioned Farden could,
far.
Farden Construction had the capability to do that, so.
Yeah, they had some concern over potential dry utilities wrapped around, if there's gas, electric, that kind of thing in there that they were gonna look into. I don't know what the outcome of that. Did they find any actually?
There's no markings or flags over there yet.
I didn't see any indication 811.
That was
filled over there.
That was the one concern that they had about pulling those out, because you figure those roots they spread pretty far. So we talked about some options of kind of cutting them, almost doing like, going in with like a stump grinder, just kind of cutting around those stumps, pull the stumps out, and it might still leave some of the roots going close to the house.
Okay. All right. Okay, you want to start talking about the additional
Yeah,
projects?
I've got some updates on the information that we had talked about at the last council meeting. If you remember right, we had like 8 different locations. Council had approved doing work in 6 of the 8. Location 1, we got pricing back from the contractor now, which we didn't have at the time. For location 1, we had originally estimated, what the heck was that, $5,892. That one came in at $9,582.70, which was enough more that I wasn't comfortable with just going ahead with that. So on that particular location and bringing it back in front of the council to let you know what the cost requests were from the contractor, and give you another opportunity to say yea or nay to that one. If you remember right, that's the sanitary manhole adjustment in the parking lot.
The apartment, that Century apartment, yeah.
So that one was a little bit more expensive, so I'm bringing it back in front of you to give you the updated costs on that, so you can make the decision on whether or not to proceed with that.
Okay. And we talked about the direct assessment benefit would be going back to the property owner. So it's, even if it's an increase, it does need to be done, but it's,
Was there any decrease on the estimated costs on any of the other ones that we?
One of them was actually a little bit less. But not,
Right.
yeah,
3,000.
yeah. Well,
Couple, $200 here and
okay.
some of them were significantly different, some of them, this is one of the ones that was significantly different, so this one, I felt like it would require council approval to say yes to that number, as opposed to me just saying yes to it, so. You want me to just go through these each at a
Yeah,
time, or you want me to go through them?
let's go through them, unless you want to just attack each one individually.
There's one that's gonna probably generate some discussion.
Oh, yeah.
so.
So we want to approve the one at the
This
apartments?
one, right?
Yeah, the apartments, yeah.
Yeah, that's the number one over
So
Century,
moved.
Century Apartments.
So moved with the new total warranty.
Okay, we have a motion by Hack to approve. That's location number 1. Okay. Second by Stern, discussion. Roll call.
Hack,
Aye.
Stern, Pillar, Wolf,
I,
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried, thank you. And then location 5.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick update on all of the locations. Location
Okay.
2,
Okay.
the sidewalk drainage, that was within $300 of what we said it'd be $1,960 some odd dollars. It's about $2,300. It's only $330 different than what we expected. I didn't feel that was enough to really worry about, so I was planning on approving that. Same with location 3, is about $250 more. That's the patch cutter at an asphalt repair on 7th Street, which is the hospital entrance. That was just slightly different. Location 4, that sanitary sewer connection, I understand now that the property owner wants us to go ahead with that. Price after we got everything back was $4,729.80. It was like $85 more than what we had estimated. So that one I didn't see as being a problem. Location 5 is the one that you guys I think are taking care of, so that's not on the list at all. Location 6 is the sewer project back here. This one turned out to be a way different animal.
And remember, that's the one that's that stainless steel pipe, that's the one that's corroded really bad. And I know Dick Jacobson is super concerned about this being an issue.
Yeah, this is the one that we were always had intended to address, and all I can do is apologize for having left it off. It got lost in the shuffle in the final plan set. But that one is gonna be apparently a much stickier situation than we at first realized. The contractor is asking for a total of just over $22,000 to do that repair under the pavement. The reason that they're stating that is that the time, first of all, it's instead of being 10 to 12 foot deep, it's about 17 foot deep. That's one of their concerns. The second one is that there's a whole bunch of utilities and a concrete vault for the fiber optics that's all right there that has to be protected. So it's a lot messier situation than I think even we realized at first. So that's the reasoning behind it. Since we had to talk at the construction meeting, originally they were saying they wanted, was it $12,000, $9,000 a day and a half to do the work. He did say that if they get it done in a day, he'll knock $3,000 off the price of that. But even with that, they're still looking at $19,000 and some change to do that. Obviously, way more than I can just say, yeah, go ahead to, so we're bringing it to your attention and let you know what that's gonna be. The other option is to go the route of doing it as what they refer to as a force account or timing materials, where they basically have to give you hourly rates for all their equipment, for all of their, the individual pieces of equipment, the individual workers, all of the materials that come into this, and it is a paper chase, but the advantage of that is that there's no question later about whether or not they were taking advantage of the situation. With that much, I wanted to bring that option in front of the council to let you know that that is an option, go at it. The upside of it is that if it doesn't take as long as they're saying it will, it probably wouldn't cost as much. The downside is that you're rolling the dice, because if it takes longer, you're gonna actually end up paying more. And like I said, there's a lot of paperwork that can go into that, for the justification of overhead rates and equipment rental rates and checking all of that and all the materials, hand tools and everything else that goes into it. There's about 2 pages of information in the contract on how to deal with that kind of situation. So the question really is, do you want to just accept that price? The specific one that's in is the spot repair location for $15,790. The rest of it is all unit prices. That's the lump sum piece that Kemper's asking to do it. They are willing to give a $3,000 deduct on that if they get it all done in a single day.
If any of you drove down this alley and saw all the flags and the paint on the ground, I think that's kind of just shows that how much more involved it's.
There's more there. We did not realize there was that much utility in the way when we first started talking about this. So
it needs to be done, we know that. I'd almost rather know what's gonna cost versus time and materials and taking a chance of maybe less, may cost us more. Mother Nature decides it's gonna rain in that trench one day and it's now it costs another day. I don't know. It's kind of concerns me, but for your feelings.
I'm in favor of the fixed price as well. Because there'd be added costs for more administrative fees and stuff, I would assume, from your guys' standpoint for
our
managing paperwork and all that.
There would be a little bit more time there would be some more time that we would have to put into it.
Yeah.
Some of which is part of our lump sum administrative, some of which is part of the hourly, so.
Yeah, so then, like, even if we do like a lump sum on this, I mean, it seems like every one of these projects, if it takes longer, they always come up with some kind of excuse.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they're absolutely going to ask for some additional time and, a couple extra days on the contract to get that done. I think it's perfectly reasonable. 2 weeks, no, 2 days, sure.
oh, but then they always then want, I guess, extra money then too.
Oh, yeah, that's the nice thing about just going with it this way, is that everything is either a unit price on an item we already have, so you pay them for what they do, just like all the rest of the project. But on that particular item, if it takes them 2 days, they bid it at a day and a half. If it actually takes them 2 days, it's still that price. So that's the advantage of going with the lump sum price, is that it's gonna be what it's gonna be. So
there is no opportunity. I think what Casey's alluding to is they say they're gonna do it in that, and then when they're digging, all of a sudden, hey, geez, there's a family of beavers that live down here, and now it took us 2 more days because we had to wait for
the beavers to
the
move out.
environmental guys to come and check out the beaver house. And
that's true on anything.
yeah.
I mean, there's a certain amount of risk that you kind of end up with when you're doing these projects. There's always something you're going to cover. They could get the project open, they could uncover everything. And yes, it is possible that there's still something that none of us can see right now that could be justifications for some additional money. At this point, because we've got most stuff located, I don't know what it would be, but who knows? Maybe they find an old empty underground storage tank hanging around on the edge of their excavation that now they gotta deal with. And they had some contaminated soils or something. Those things can happen, but that can happen on any part of the project, so.
And is there any way that there's, you know, I guess like we could just line it instead of, you know, yes.
You know, I thought about that, and I gotta admit, I don't really see a good way out of this. If there was a different alternative where we could line through that, but trying to line an old degraded corrugated pipe, and it's not really.
Probably just mandated it if you try to do
And
it.
you might be just putting a Band-Aid on it anyway, because you got the structural issues, which you can put a thicker liner in. But because the size differences and because it's so, it doesn't adhere properly, it doesn't stick properly, it's really, I don't think it's a real good solution.
So that's an 8-inch line now? Originally
No, it's
was,
12 inch.
okay, 12, and now it's corroded down to about
It's probably down to about 8 inches, yeah, if
8.
that.
So if you put a liner in, then does that lose another 1/8, 16th? I don't know what.
A good 1/4 inch probably.
And like Dick Jacobs was saying, it's one of our main trunk lines of, you know, that, of moving stuff. And there's a reason why it should be the size it was. And
I would love to be able to sit here and tell you, you know what, we can do this and we'll end up solving the problem for less money, but in this case, it's just one of those, boy, I think it's probably your best bet long term is to just go ahead and get it fixed.
I'll make a motion and pull the trigger on the
22.
whatever it is.
That is 22,153.92.
Okay, motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Pillar. Discussion.
How long was that again?
The actual repair, about 20 to 25 feet. I suspect it will end up being a little longer than that.
Right.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Hack.
Aye.
Pillar. Aye. Stern.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay, that was a tough decision.
Yeah.
Location 7, which is the storm sewer across from City Hall, that one actually went down a little bit because the contractor force traded a patching the gap in that pipe that caused the whole thing for some other, I forget what it was, some of the city. Yeah, the city supplied him some piece of material that he needed for something that they had that he didn't have to go running for, and so he said, I'll just do that for free. So we didn't end up having to include that in the cost, so that price actually went down. So I was figuring on that one you had previously approved, I was just gonna go ahead with that. Location 8, option 2 is the replacement castings
Over by the school.
over by the school. That one originally, I'm gonna change my page here. That one was originally estimated at 3,700 and some change, it's gonna be 3,800 and some change, about $100 more. So I figured that there was no issue with that. Now, the other thing that has come up since the last meeting, and I didn't bring it up the last meeting in part because this is something that, in my opinion, is a little different. It's not work that is required that we've kind of uncovered. This is something that we wanted to talk to the school and approach the school about. Do you want these additional things done? What it boils down to is mostly it's a little bit of additional sidewalk work, an additional handicap ramp, and replacing all of those valley gutters in their driveways. Some of it we would have had to have done because it was just too beat up to match up to, but that's just part of the normal adjustments that we end up making in things. We had quantities, we didn't necessarily have it shown on the plans, but we actually had quantities in there for some of that kind of stuff, figuring it was gonna happen. But what we asked them is whether or not they wanted to put in a bigger valley gutter section across those driveways, essentially almost exactly what we're gonna be doing over at the hospital. And then ask them about some additional sidewalk work that, again, is not required under the project, But knowing that they're gonna end up paying the bill and asking them that, we talked to them about what they wanted to do in those areas. They looked at it, we told them what the cost for the different things were gonna be, they decided they would like to do that work. So this is a little different, it's optional work. They have agreed to pay for it now, I think, you know, Monty, hopefully, somebody should have actually gotten an email.
Right.
So, so the school superintendent just said, yes, we would like to go ahead and do this work. So, but because it's the city's contract, you're the ones that have to say, yes, go ahead, put a change order together to do that work.
But is
So-
it any different than having the project take care of, the residential pipe connection and stuff for $4,000 some dollars, or?
Very similar.
The same,
Very
same type
similar.
of deal?
Very similar, it's really, I think,
And when we approached the school and Mr. Miller, right up front said, if you do all this extra, which is about 25,000, it'll be directly assessed all back to you. And they said, fine.
I think he was figuring it was like $1,500 a year for the next 20 years or something, he thought it was well worth it. That's what he told me, so.
So then we should have a motion to accept the portion by the school too for additional work.
You want me to go through, there's like 5 things, just to get the numbers out?
Go ahead.
Okay, so first location is an 88 ramp, couple 88 ramps on the northwest part of the, instead of doing the east. Also we're already doing the east part where it crosses to the park on the north end of the street. We're now gonna do the west side as well. They wanted 88 ramps on both sides, even though they didn't need it. So that cost was $46.21. The second location is the valley gutter. One of the valley gutter driveways was $46.50. The third road location is the valley gutter and where that inlet is at.
And this is on the south end of the elementary parking lot. You come out and the buses go like this.
Yep.
You
It's
come
the
out of
loop going in and
Yeah.
the loop going out.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it's the loop coming out part.
Yeah.
But you know what, that really worked as a speed bump too.
But also works as an ice damming area.
Oh, I know.
And you can see the asphalt around is
Yeah, I
destroyed
know, I
because
agree.
So that one is about $12,336.50. So that one's a little more expensive because it's a lot more work. And it's got that inlet in there. That particular one, we need to get a price from the contractor for the casting and the inlet that we don't have in the contract right now. I'm estimating that $5,000, which I think is a bit on the steep side. But that's one unknown. If it comes back significantly different, we can come back to you, but I don't think that's gonna be an issue. Fourth location is again, the last valley gutter on the, I believe this is the one that's on the north loop. Or no, this is the one that's on the high school side? Okay, the high school side is $5,584.40. And then the last is a little bit of sidewalk work for $1,480. So those are the different locations there. And again, this is all stuff that we wanted to talk to them first because we saw it as optional, kind of a value added thing as opposed to work that needed to be done. So,
In our initial project, there's 88 ramps
Mhm.
in that median by the elementary and.
yes.
Okay.
All of that was there. It's
Yep.
just
Yeah.
the second
Yep.
crossing at
Yep.
the same intersection that got added.
And when they cross over to the middle school from either the elementary or high school, those.
Yeah.
All of that was already included in the project, yes.
Refreshing my memory.
Then we should have a motion to accept this portion to be added on.
So
Motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Wolf, discussion. Roll call.
I,
Wolf,
Aye.
Pillar,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay.
Good. All right, I just want to mention one thing. So we've had the last 2 weeks on Thursday, construction meetings. Nancy was there 2 weeks ago. This past week, I was the only commissioner there, but I do want to thank you guys for, they really do, when this table is full of people and with several people on this chairs too, but the contractors will take advantage of you, in my opinion, if they have an opportunity. And I think these guys have done a great job of defending us and doing what's best for our community. And, because it gets a little heated at moments, and ears get red, and necks get red, and, you know, it's not always, as cordial as you like it to be, but gotta do what you gotta do, and I appreciate that, guys, so. I would love if we all could be at those meetings. I know we can't because of work, but two both last an hour and a half. So, Daniel, you missed a good one. It's like 5 rounds of just good.
This last one was a little more entertaining than normal.
But anyhow, thank you guys. Appreciate
I
it.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Any last questions for these fellas before we release them? Okay, thank you. 8A, application for rezoning property, Tyler Shute property. We've got an image here of what the storage building wants to put up, and a drawing. This is commercial.
Versus the rezoning.
Versus the rezoning, yep.
Yep.
And if Shannon,
Residential currently, and we need to rezone it to C2 for him to put the storage unit. The house is still there. Can you bring up the map?
so went to rezoning committee too.
Yes, yep, we met earlier today and they approved it, the planning and zoning did. So basically, he's gonna keep his driveway. The house will eventually go, but he's gonna remove these 2 buildings and it's gonna kind of go right in here. He's gonna, him and Kurt are in agreement. We did request that he get written permission from the neighbors that says they're okay with it, so in case down the road somebody sells, that people are okay with it being there. The planning and zoning had no objections, they were, as long as he follows the rules on staying away from the property line far enough and stuff, they were fine with it. It's gonna be 12 units.
Okay, so we have to, the planning and zoning did put their blessing on it, and it comes to us for us to approve, to change it to C2. So that's the first step we need to do. You know, it looks like it's already dually zoned, or the way those other buildings are now, but
Kurt was allowed to have that building because, and have a business out of it because he owns the property and works in it himself, otherwise he wouldn't.
Shannon, is he only going 10 feet off?
Commercial you can.
So
So it's
they'd be
100, it's 100 foot wide after the 10 foot.
Yeah, I have my drawings on.
No,
Scale.
but the width of it is 100.
Yeah, the lot itself is 100.
So it's probably gonna stick out.
He says it's kind of, like where all the junk of Kurt starts, that's pretty much where the line is.
Okay.
So those 2 smaller buildings are Tyler's, and those will be
Yeah.
coming out.
But I mean, out towards the west where the house is,
It's gonna actually be more on this side of the house yet, because he said it's gonna kind of block the very top unit until he gets the house out of there. And then, so it's gonna be like right up by the house and then come down. So it's the whole west side is gonna be access to get in to all the driveways and all of that.
did he just get planning and rezoning to rezone this?
That particular plat of land, yeah.
Cause I guess if it's going in there, I don't have a problem with this, you guys. But if it's going in there, my bet is, if it goes good for him, he's gonna dump another one in there.
on Hill Room.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering why he started so far to the east.
Oh, yeah, that could be, he definitely could go to the south.
Well, even to the west. On that.
What's the wishes of the board on rezoning?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Wolf to approve the rezoning to C2.
Second.
Second by Pillar.
Kevin,
Discussion.
is this, I guess, city limits or not? It's
But
outside
it's
of
still
city
in
limits,
our
yeah.
jurisdiction.
Jurisdiction.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Wolf.
Aye.
Pillar.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Alright, motion carried. I guess I forgot to ask, was it unanimous?
Yeah.
With the zoning? Okay. Thank you, Shannon.
Building permit.
And now he's got to approve
So
the
now
building
just
for the building. No,
Make a motion to accept the building permit as presented. No variances.
Second.
motion by Pillar, second by Hack, discussion. And it will be, this is it, so it won't be a surprise, it's gonna be a different tin shack.
No, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be the bottom one.
Alright,
The bottom one?
I think so.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Just any more discussion?
Just one thing, because this is not in Hazen city limits. I really didn't look at the authority of Hazen. I know we have zoning authority, extra territorial. I don't know about building permit authority.
No, people have to get,
Outside, do we
people have
know
to get building permits if they're within our.
if they're within our zoning?
What is it, within the half mile, Ken?
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any more discussion? Roll call.
Pillar. Aye. Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried. All right, under reports, I have nothing until down to 11A. Water sewer, okay. Streets, cemetery,
The one that I got was Dave had something to add. Like I said earlier, I've been cooling around town, kudos to you guys. I've had questions about why we're putting an ADA ramp when there's no sidewalks, and, once you explain that, then it's like, oh, okay. Other than that, I think I haven't had any issues with what they've been doing so far, so Dave, do you got anything else?
not this time.
That's all I have.
finance, busing,
I attended the ambulance board meeting once again. I'm not sure if I reported that in May they had a staff volunteer employee appreciation that was very well attended. And this last meeting, they were discussing budget and to get that done, so. But they're doing well. That would be it.
okay.
Oh, for the election, we are gonna be running the buses. Monty's gonna coordinate with Peg on running the bus every half hour to and from Beulah for anyone who wants to get a ride. Are we picking them up at, or are they gonna be meeting at the bus
Well, either
Or
the
here.
bus or here.
or here?
Yeah.
Whatever you and Peg,
Might be better
We'll
parking
determine
here.
that.
might be better parking here.
How late are the polls open again? Mike?
7 p.m.
7.
So would it solely be pick up here
And drop off.
and drop off
Yep.
over at voting? So
Yep,
for purposes of the newspaper reporting, it
Yep.
would be the city parking lot?
the city, yep.
I don't think we've decided that exactly yet, but.
Yeah, well, I'll visit with Dan tomorrow once I visit.
That's our,
And we do anyway.
that's our new guy, he's
He has started.
on the road. Okay.
HCD, nope,
Yes, no? You want to talk, Dan?
Oh,
police, fire, forestry, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Buster.
You can work your way to your chair. I had a conversation last evening with a concerned citizen regarding 7th Street, the speed limit on there, or not so much a concern about the speed limit itself, but the fact that there's a number of folks that are choosing not to pay attention to that speed limit. And we're into the season now where the pool's gonna be opening up, and so there's gonna be a lot more youth traffic up and down that street, kids riding their bicycles, walking, things of that nature. And so I reported to the citizen that I would have a conversation with Jim, just to raise his awareness. I don't know that we change any scheduling or anything like that for monitoring that street, but wanted to just bring it up for discussion, so it also gets put into the minutes of the meeting, so that people that read that are aware that the police will be taking a closer watch on that particular area, because it is traveled quite a bit by citizens and kids.
So want to address speed limit signs then? And if we put up new ones, or?
We had a conversation last year regarding the placement of signs, purchasing of signs and placing of signs that designated as a school zone. I don't believe that ever ended up happening.
And I brought that up to Jim within the last week, so he's gonna come up with the locations and
Okay.
bring it back.
And that was the caveat at the time. Ryan was gonna order up the signs for it, and then the police were gonna determine what the appropriate location would be for the placement of these signs. And it may be a little bit challenging, because we have concrete and asphalt and all that type of stuff, so.
You know if you have those signs?
Okay, so we might wanna go back on the records and just kind of pull up what the designation was on those signs, and if we can get that today, that'd be awesome. And then forestry, had a little bit of a conversation with Monty tonight. John has ordered up the trees for Arbor Day and everything like that, and it sounded like there is a need for a conversation with our state forester, that there might be some opportunity for some trees being supplied by the state. So we'll make sure that conversation happens. And that's it.
And I'll add to your forestry. Last week, John Dahl did have the state forester here, and they looked at some of our black ash trees. They're not doing well in town. And he thinks that they're going to mark quite a few of them that are private and boulevard trees. But the green ash are doing fine. And it's not an emerald ash borer, and it's a fungus or a mold that's getting to the black ash. And he said it's, you know, it could be a 50-year-old tree, it could be a 10-year-old tree, but it may last only, it may be dying now, could last a year, could last 5 years. But he said, and there's nothing you can do, you can't inject them, you can't spray them. But the black ash are in rough shape around town right now. Apparently John noticed that and had the state forester come up. So.
And I also, along the lines of trees that are removed because of disease or whatever the case might be, I know I've had citizens ask me the question on some of these boulevard trees, whether it's the city's responsibility then to replace some of those, particularly trees heading out of the north side of town. So I'll have some conversations with John. There's along that boulevard on the east side, going out north of Highway 200. There's been several trees that have been removed from there, and the roots ground down, and there was question on whether they were going to be replaced or not.
One of the issues with that is, you know, when they first planted those trees, they're about every 40 feet
Too
apart.
close.
You know,
Okay.
and then if a tree dies, you can't plant a tree right on top of where that tree was, or was ground. It's got to be at least 6 feet away, and we've been told by the city forester.
Okay.
So we want to have, then we're going to make them too close again. So I don't know what the answer is to that.
Dan, are you talking the ones right on the east side of County 27?
Yeah.
Yes.
Between that and the alley?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of those have been, you know, had died off, split off, whatever the case was, and got ground down. But I think that explanation is acceptable. That when there may not be space for that.
Unless you, I guess I never even noticed it. I traveled down there and walked the sidewalk there. They're so big and usable now, the trees are.
Yeah.
You don't really notice those.
That's all I have to report.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Buster HCD.
Okay, well, I've visited with you folks before about our North Dakota Moves project that we're trying to initiate, and you have a little map in front of you which depicts a lot better in terms of what we're going to be looking at doing. One of the things on the 19th, when our team is out here, we're going to be focusing just on that block area where you see the bump outs. That's going to be our major concentration for that day when the, what's the term I'm looking for? My consultants are coming out, okay? But, and so, I've had a couple of telephone conferences, I've talked with Dave, a couple different times, and, you know, right now it's a matter of we're trying to get a list of supplies, ready for, in terms of what we could use as a, you know, some of those temporary, areas there. The other thing that, we had talked about is this, is that weather permitting and that following day, if you see the green stuff there, that's where the bike lane stuff was going to go, and that's going on by Heritage Park, and we'd like to, you know, within that 2-day time frame, probably try to have all that completed. And then, and the idea is I know a couple of conversation I've had with Antoinette, she's been helping me quite a bit with this, and that would be, we were thinking even like to maybe even start on some of the preliminary stuff of this before they actually come on the 19th, so we know that we'd have a nice head start on it, and then go from there. Because I mean, if we can, let's say that we, you know, one of the things we had talked about is maybe we maybe put the crosswalks in and kind of guess where the semi-loop was going to go and those kinds of things. So it's a matter of, you know, trying to put together some supplies. I know that I am going to be able to get a $2,000 grant from the Department of Health. The first preliminary estimate I had received from our consultant for the materials and everything came in at about $11,000. I thought, wow, you know, but we're gonna see what we can do in terms of I don't think 2,000 will probably cover it, you know, but we'll see what we can do with what we have available, and hopefully we can make, borrow, and steal in terms of where things are at. The other thing is that I know that there's been, you know, some question or concern about the reverse parking, the angle parking going the other direction. But you know, I do have some catalogs with signage, you know, that we would definitely get out, and the plan is that we probably even have maybe some monitors out there the first couple of days or whatever, to see how things go. I think that my gut feeling is that I think people are going to be not as concerned, necessarily as concerned about that, but I think the bigger issue will be the bike lanes going east out of town. And now the one thing about this plan, as you're going further east there, and you don't see that, but out to the Heritage Park, and that is that, you know, the idea is there that the parallel parking would be on the north side of the street, okay? And so there would be no parallel on the south side, which is the Heritage Park side. And then that bike lane would probably be running just adjacent to that curve, you know. And so it's going to, it's definitely going to get narrow the street, and which of course they're saying from a safety standpoint that's good, because what typically happens when it's narrower, people slow down. And you know, with Heritage Park being over there and probably as active as it, I would hope that it will be eventually, probably okay. But like I said, and it's a demonstration project, and we'll see how it.
Remember, it's temporary. You know,
Temporary.
We're just giving it a shot, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and so we'll give it a whirl and see what it looks like, and I'm hoping that particular day when that team is out here, and we can get some coverage from K-Fire or KX, have them come out and do that as well, so.
Lester, I've got a question on our reverse parking.
Yeah.
Dave, what's our current width on parking in between normal parking lanes?
You know, I've never measured, I'm not sure what the standard is.
Do you know if these
I don't know, but you
I've seen
know.
they're 9 feet.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. One of the things though that we had talked about with the consultant was this, is that we wouldn't put them in at this quite a steep an angle as the present ones are now, so that the turning radius would be less, you know, you'd have more room to back in. The other thing is, as a demonstration project, we could make them wider. You know, one of the things that if you go places, you know that two pickups in those lanes with big mirrors, and I mean, I love to go to Costco, but there isn't any around here because, you know, they have 2-foot buffers on each side because they make certain that those lanes are large enough so that you're not bumping into them.
I'm guessing that width there is based upon something more than just a.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For some
Or you
reason,
think it you wanna make them wider?
no, for some reason, this 9 feet seems to me like it's wider than the normal parking.
I don't
I don't know.
Yeah. But, so we'll, you know, and Dave and I have talked, and what I would like to do, what I'm hoping to do is as we move further down the line, because, the president of your board is the only one that doesn't have a job.
Job? Get paid? Jesus.
But let's put it this way, he's easier to get hold of. But I'd like to sit with him. Maybe
More flexible.
Yeah, more flexible. Have Dave, another person that I'd like to have as part of this is probably somebody from the park board and maybe Nate now, but then and so we could talk about maybe what this game might look like. We could beg more or steal, whatever. Don't be offended, Jerry.
God, that's great.
Any other questions on this project?
I work for my wife.
Yeah. Okay. So the other thing that I want to bring up is I feel really bad that you guys gave us that green space out of the Commerce Center because it's in tough shape. It's in tough shape, and a couple of things that happened. First of all, the soil and whatever that went in there was pretty poor quality. There's a lot of rock and concrete mix in there, and I don't know where they got it from. I was out there cutting with the mower the other day, pushing around the curbs just to get it kind of spruced up for Memorial Day weekend, and it is rugged. And of course, then our snow removal guy ended up putting a big payloader in there on a couple of spots, and we got big ruts in there. Now, I did talk to Dave about possibility if there was some dirt around someplace to go in and maybe, because some of those ruts are so big, you need equipment to get them leveled off, you know? And of course, it helped that we had rain, there's no question about that, but it probably should be reseeded again. I don't know. And I know that everybody wants it to look nice, but you know, we have a water problem out there. We don't have a water source really out there, so anyway, it's keeping me up at night. No, not really. But
why do you think we gave it to you, Buster? Everybody wanted those things from us. Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're gonna, you know, we'll take a look at it and see what we can do with it. But I'm not gonna
pay it.
Yeah. I hear you.
Buster at our last city meeting, I think it wouldn't be a problem to get water source
Right.
from the fire department.
Probably, yeah. So, I'll just move on and talk a little bit about, I haven't heard an update on the hotel project, other than the fact that, the application went from the individual who did all the reviewing to the loan committee, okay? And I did see an email that I thought that by the end of last week we were going to hear from them, but I'm hoping that this week we will hear one way or another. So we can get off the fence, we'll know what's happening. And as far as Pioneer is concerned, we do have a solid candidate that will be moving in there, another one in July. And we have a third one on and they picked up an application. So we're hoping that things pick up there a little bit too, but it's been really slow, as you all know. The other thing is we did have a pioneer meeting the other day. And some of our financing came in less than what we had anticipated. So we still have some dollars available on our loan. And we talked about the fact that, you know what, maybe we ought to put some garages in there. Because, you know, I know that I had at least 4 people that were on my original list and took their name off the list because there were no garages. And Austin was going to take a look at it to see approximately how many we could get on there. And that would maybe go on the east side. So, I mean, if we could get, you know, 8 of them, I think it would help. You know, of course, it's gonna cost something, but I think in the long haul, if we get more attractive, more attractive to get people in there, so that's where that's at in case.
Are you looking at adjusting rents with the housing and finance, see what's included there?
We talked about it, but they haven't pulled the trigger on it because we're still waiting on some outstanding bills to see where things are at. But I think we have a pretty firm handle on some of that now. Yeah. Anything else for me?
Lester, who does the maintaining of the lawn over there now?
Well,
Is there anybody?
well, supposedly Sandy had somebody hired, but Craig supposedly doing it on his own now, so I don't know.
McCarthy?
Yeah. And I know
I've
that.
got a name for you.
And I know that north side got bad, it's tall, and he was going to cut it, but then of course the rain and so. But actually, yeah, that's kind of out of my department, because that's Sandy's responsibility. Yeah. So.
Okay, thank you, Buster.
Yeah.
Okay, 10A, Mercer County Historical Society membership.
One of their representatives came by the other day and was bringing stuff actually for Buster and asked if the city would be interested in renewing their membership. It's been since the late 80s, early 90s that the city actually was a member of the Historical Society.
Business annual membership, $25. We need a motion to spend at 25. If you want to.
So moved.
Motion by Wolf.
Second.
Second by Stern. Discussion. Do we have to do roll call first, or?
It's money.
Yeah, roll call.
Wolf.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Pillar. Aye. Hack.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried, thank you. 11A, discussion, liquor license application, the Hub. Now, I had this put on here because I wanted, and thank you guys for coming. I wanted you guys to hear this too. But I thought if we're going to put this on the agenda for the next meeting or the following meeting to make a decision, I feel like since we have state or policy that says we can't violate open meetings laws, that we need to talk amongst ourselves here. And I just wanted to get some opinions out there that I've heard. I've asked about 25 people. What if the Hub sold alcohol or beer or hard alcohol? And I've been getting quite a bit of interesting feedback. So anyhow, that's why we have this on here, and it's pretty interesting. I'll start off by telling you what I've been hearing is that it's almost 50-50 of people saying, "Yeah, that'd be nice," and others saying, "I don't know." I only had one person say that'd be awesome. One person did say that, Jared, it'd be awesome to have it. And actually, they're related to me. And but anyhow, it's been a lot of discussion of age appropriateness of of your tellers or checkout people. And if I'm correct by saying that if you've got to be between 18 and, if you're between 18 and 20, you can't ring them up at all. You have to be 21 years old to ring them up. I thought it was you had to be supervised by someone that's 21 or over, but that's at a restaurant. If you're at the Bison, you know, they got it, or any other restaurant, they get it. Or over at the Hot Stuff.
Yeah, they can take the order,
They
but
can take the order, and they're supervised by someone that's 21 or over. But that was a lot of discussion. Security was a lot of discussion that people had. And I explained what you guys said at the last meeting, Jared, about walls. I even tell people to come down to see Monty to look at the drawing that you guys had. And I mentioned the security aspect of the camera, and you talked about a key card type system, which the only issue there is, yeah, North Dakota has that driver's license magnetic strip, but other states may not. You know, so that'd be a possible hindrance in that situation. And then a lot of people, more than 50% of the people I talked to, thought beer alone would be good enough, which also includes like Mike's Hard Lemonade and Bartles and James. I don't even know if that's the old brand anymore, but you know, wine coolers, things like that, and didn't really see much of a purpose for bottles of Jack Daniels or whiskey or whatever else in it. But so that was I guess it was pretty interesting, and people want to talk at length about it. I think they were wondering why the hub wanted it, and I just said the main answer that we heard is that, you know, obviously revenue is number one. It's the dollars, but a lot of convenience stores in North Dakota and around the country, that's where they're going to. Do we need to make it that convenient in Hazen? Is it inconvenient to buy alcohol in Hazen? I don't think it's inconvenient, but you know, a lot of people thought, well, for the boat owner that's filling up with gas, they walk by, I'll grab another 12-pack for the lake or whatever, you know, things like that. That was a lot of the discussion that I heard from people. So I think I would like to get this on the agenda for the next meeting or one of the next two meetings to make a decision, but I wanted to give all you guys the feedback that I've been hearing from people.
I also reached out to a lot of people. I did not have anybody that was against it. Just a lot of questions. And I think for us to responsibly make a decision one way or the other, probably just share with you a little bit of the feedback. The concern was it was felt that in general, and it wasn't specific to your store, but in general when it came to the sale of tobacco products to people underage, they felt that was an issue across the board. So they said if we can't control in our own community the sale of tobacco products to underage people, how do we stay on top of this? So that would be something that in the presentation for actual vote and stuff like that, need to understand how we would be able to police that a little bit more. There was comments, and you had mentioned in our last discussion the hours would probably be reduced because of your ability to cover with the appropriate age person for selling the product and stuff like that. One of the drawing cards, if you will, that I heard from the citizens that thought it would be a good idea is that if the other establishment in town was closed and it was available here, that would be nice, because sometimes, and I don't even know what their operating hours are over there, but let's just say for argument's sake they close at 5 o'clock, but 7 o'clock you got some people over and it's like, oh gee, we just ran out. You know, that it would be nice to have that convenience of being able to go over there. So I would like to understand what you feel the hours of operation would be for that portion of the store, for the discussions, for us making a decision and stuff like that. But again, I didn't hear anybody say, no, I think that would be a bad idea, or no, it's not good to have, more competition in town or anything like that. There was even the comment that, you know, if a commercial institution were to come to town, separate from, you know, just making a change within, would we turn them down if, you know, a new business were to come to town to do the same thing?
I talked to just a handful of people, but I had time to think about it myself, and two things popped in my head. I believe your hours would have to be open later for that area than 10 o'clock. And number two, are you gonna have the ability to let that younger high school kid work more hours during the day in the summer, granted, but normally during school hours, they're working at night. That personally, as a parent, not only a citizen, but a parent, I would be concerned with. You know, just thinking on, my kids are way too young yet, but, you know, all across the board, you know.
Well, along those lines, if you go over to Minnesota, I think they sell that in the grocery store, and I don't know if they obviously have different rules over there, because you go in any checkout.
It's all retail at
Yeah.
any legal age of working.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, those are things that are happening in states all around us
Right.
today.
But unfortunately not in North Dakota.
You guys only open till 10 now, correct?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of expanding your hours at all, Jared, or is that something?
Probably not.
Okay.
So,
I guess,
Nancy or
yeah, I
Casey?
have talked to a lot of people, and I guess my understanding is we're only going to decide on if they should be allowed a liquor license or not to tell them how many hours they can be open,
Yeah.
what they can
Right.
sell,
Yeah.
how to police it, because we do have state agencies that do police them.
Sure.
The same as tobacco, and not everybody passes the tobacco, we understand that. But my understanding was, is it a want or need in Hazen? That is basically our concern. And most of the people that I talked to, and I'll say 90% of them said, I don't see why not.
Yeah. And the only reason I ask for that level of detail is we often are
Yeah.
second and third and fourth guessed as to why we make certain decisions and stuff like that. And the more detail that's in public eye, I think it just, it
And I agree.
helps. The communication part of it.
I guess the only thing I got, or not one thing, but anyway, you know, on the revenue, you know, I guess off the taxes, you know, I guess what do you guys expect, you know, I guess from a city standpoint, extra money that we're gonna be able to bring in because of the sale?
you're asking me?
Yeah. What else if you wanna wait with that too?
Well, I mean, I can address it. Number one, and I respect the question, I do think it's an irrelevant question to whether we're legally qualified to be a license holder or not. I don't know, I mean, honestly, it would just be a guess. I've thrown in a number, it's a pretty small number as far as, I don't know, I just have no idea what the demand would be. Because there's so many other factors going into this remodel, there's gonna be food, there's gonna be expanded square footage, a little bit better parking, so what comes from what? It's really tough to say. I wish I were that smart, but I'm not.
And then I guess, you know, on the price then, you know, are you gonna be in, I guess, in a competition, just with the bottle shop here, or is it gonna be, you know, the same as like a gallon of milk, you know, I mean, it
Frankly,
costs more money.
I haven't scouted the competition in town. That's probably a little too soon for that for me. So I couldn't give a dedicated answer there.
Actually, someone brought that up to me too. So convenience cost of a convenience store, a gallon of milk is here, and Krause's might be here. So a convenient 12-pack, is that gonna be here and Krause's here? That's, so just for your knowledge, that's what people are, you know.
Sure, yeah,
But
and that would be obviously
Yeah.
a decision for the business to make.
Sure,
And
and not
a
ours,
decision
obviously,
for the
yeah.
consumers to make whether they want to pay that or not.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, anyhow, that's Yeah, Casey, go ahead.
I just have one more, maybe minor though, but on the off-sale licenses, I guess, I guess like we can have 2 in town, right?
1 per 1,000
Yeah.
people, yeah.
So then is, I guess, the Jimmy's Bar off sale anymore, or is it?
They do, but it's strictly off sale, we have 1 per every 1,000. On and off sale are combined, so there can be
Okay.
1 for every 500 of them.
Yes.
And then eating establishments have other set of rules under our ordinance. Yeah,
And Hazen Bay is under county.
that's county, yeah, that's nothing here.
Okay. Any last from you guys, or?
No,
Okay.
always happy to answer any questions, whether it's in here or via email, or you can. But yeah, at any time, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, comments, or concerns.
All right.
And I guess just again, what's your timeframe for the expansion to your facility?
We would, our goal is there are multiple phases of, we're going to move the repair shop, hopefully move the space for Subway, and then expand the convenience store. So the convenience store would be just by natural progression in the 3rd phase of that project. So we would hope late November, early December, get started on that 3rd phase.
Okay.
All right, thank you for that discussion.
Thank you.
Yep, 12A, 2018 Auditor's Bond. And you all see the information for that, and we would need to, yep, it's an annual event, and this is where we allow Monty to spend all the money he wants, anytime.
Sure.
Yeah.
Make a motion, we accept the resolution establishing the bond for the city auditor.
Okay, we have a motion by Pillar. Second by Hack. Discussion? Roll call.
Pillar, aye. Hack,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Motion carried. And 12B, the fun stuff, 2019 city budget. So we have a new timeline that is put on us from the state and the county. And Monty's already started to put numbers towards budget and plugging in some percentages and looking at possible, Blue Cross Blue Shield was always a wild card for us. We only even talked about last year being an option we gave because it was like a 3% increase. Which is, it's been up to 20% before. So it's kind of hard to figure that part. But if you get a chance, please sit down and come in to visit with Monty a little more. Talk to your department heads of wants, needs, wish lists. We can get those on paper and look at your what you have in your savings accounts, basically.
But this is just a preliminary, correct?
This is the
This is preliminary.
Yeah.
But
And,
it's,
and we do that in the business world. We do our forecast, and then later in the fall, we actually get into
The only difference is,
finalized budget.
once we certify this is our preliminary budget to the county, we can't go on.
Cannot.
Go down.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, so that's a lot different.
that is different.
So that's why we need to err on the high side to start with. But
Reasonably.
yeah. So look at your reserves and.
You're not looking for us to approve it tonight?
No.
What is your deadline so that we can provide guidance to our departments?
Oh, we'll still have both the meetings in July and even the first meeting in August if necessary to approve our preliminary meeting to the county by August 10th.
Okay. Right.
And then the final between September 7th and October 7th.
Correct.
No. And then, we talk about having a work night too, to go over line item by line item if we, which I find beneficial for myself, especially when you have to explain to the community, the public, why you made some decisions or didn't. Okay. Anything else I'm missing there, Monty, that you want to add? Okay. All right, then approval of bills.
Wait a few more on your list.
Good night, Pat.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Hack to approve the bills. Second by Stern. Discussion. Roll call.
Hack,
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
Holy.